Hey friends, this is Derrick Broze of the Conscious Resistance Network, and today we are going to talk about Julian Assange. We're going to talk about WikiLeaks and the horrible situation going on there. And honestly, I just want to say I apologize for not having covered this story of WikiLeaks sooner. As far as since Assange's arrest, I haven't done much of it, and I know he's been psychologically tortured and all kinds of crazy things. So it's something that the independent media, anybody who cares about freedom of the press, need to keep an eye on. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys to bookmark theconsciousresistance.com to get plugged into all of our latest content. I've been pumping out lots of new videos while I'm also out here working on my book and my documentary, 5G documentary. I want to invite you guys to bookmark the Minds page, Steam It page, Discord, sign up for our text list, follow us on BitChute, and if you want to support via Patreon or Subscribestar, you can do so right there, and also sign up for our email newsletter. So before we get into current news regarding WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, this little Reuters article here offers a catch-up for those who are interested, and they kind of go into Assange's life in Australia, July 1971 born, getting involved in computer hacking by 1995, founding WikiLeaks in 2006, and then of course by 2010 releasing the Afghan and Iraq war logs, as well as the global intelligence files, which were largely credited to Bradley, now Chelsea Manning, a former U.S. soldier who released these documents and went to prison for it, and then was pardoned by Obama, and since is now being held, that is Chelsea Manning, being held for refusing to cooperate with the grand jury who is trying to bring Assange in. November 8, 2010, after all this starts to happen, a Swedish court orders the arrest of Assange over alleged rapes that he was involved in, which he denies, calling them a plot to discredit him and secure his eventual transfer to the U.S. to face trial. He was arrested in Britain in December on a Swedish warrant and freed on bail, and then a British High Court ruled that he should be extradited to Sweden. He lodges an appeal against this decision, but is rejected in June 2012. And then before he could be taken and extradited to Sweden on these rape charges, which he denied, he took refuge in Ecuador's embassy in London and on June 19, 2012, where he remained up until April 11, 2019, after he was carried out of the Ecuadorian embassy and arrested by police after Ecuador revoked his political asylum. And that was after much pressure from intelligence agencies, specifically the CIA, the U.S. government. And it says back in 2017, the U.S. federal prosecutors expand a long-running grand jury investigation into WikiLeaks, which the CIA director called a hostile intelligence service. And, of course, those Swedish prosecutors came back with they discontinued their investigation originally, but now, as of May 1st, Assange was sentenced to 50 weeks for skipping bail, and that's for skipping bail way back in 2012, so he's going to do at least a year in a British prison while he's waiting potentially to be extradited to the U.S. Swedish prosecutors reopened the investigation on May 13th, saying they will seek to extradite Assange to Sweden. A Swedish court rejected a request from his prosecutors to be detained in absentia, making it more difficult to have him extradited. On June 11th, the U.S. Department of Justice formally asked Britain to extradite Assange to the U.S. to face charges that he conspired to hack the U.S. government computers and violated the espionage law, which are all bullshit. And on November 19th, Swedish prosecutors dropped the rape investigation for a second time, saying that evidence is not strong enough to bring charges against Assange. This decision is in part prompted by the passage of 9 years since the alleged crime, reducing the value of witness accounts. So, the whole reason that they took him out is because he was being accused of rape in Sweden, and so that gave them justification to take him out of the embassy and to attack his name. And now the Swedish prosecutors announced they are dropping the rape investigation, but either way, he's already in the hands of the Brits, and now the Brits will definitely hand him over to the U.S. if that's what the courts decide, which is more than likely what the courts are going to decide. So it doesn't look good for Assange, and there's the picture of him on April 11, 2019. And last we saw or heard from him, there were some courtroom drawings of him looking all disheveled in court and saying that he was being psychologically tortured. Now, look, I understand there are some folks who think that Assange, Snowden, and Manning are all part of a CIA op or some kind of intelligence op, and I'm open to it. I definitely listen to those interviews and look at that evidence, and I can see both, kind of different sides of the story. I think with Assange, if he was if they were, I don't know, it's not like he's being reported on daily. I mean, they're holding him, they're treating him in this really fucked up way, and he's essentially a journalist, a publisher, and they're treating him as a hacker even though he didn't hack anything. It's setting a bad precedent for press freedoms in Britain and the United States and Australia, all around the Western world and around the world in general. So if this is their own, limited hangout operation, then I guess part of the purposes it's serving is to, destroy the little bit of press freedoms we have left. But I don't see Assange really being prompted up in the media, because typically if the media is talking about something, it's because they want us to see it. So I believe that if Assange was playing a role, either to be the role of the bad guy or to be the role of the good guy, we'd be hearing more about him. Now, they're going to report on him when there's some news in general, and we'll see what happens once he gets extradited, how they treat him. But ultimately, I don't know. I think that Assange, I know there's also accusations of people saying him and being involved in a cult when he was a young little kid, and I haven't seen hard evidence for these things. So if you've got hard evidence, reach out to me, send it over to me. I'm willing to look at it. But my point is, we don't know exactly who we can trust. I know that Assange is reportedly suffering serious health problems while in custody in London. He's fighting extradition, where prosecutors accuse him of playing a role in one of the, quote, largest compromises of classified information in the history of the U.S. He faces a charge of conspiracy to commit computer intrusion and violating the Espionage Act. If convicted, he could face decades or the rest of his life in prison. So, yeah, it's not really good things going on here. And Kristen Hrafnsson, the editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks, said, "Let us now focus on the threat Mr. Assange has been warning about for years, the belligerent prosecution of the U.S. and the threat it poses for the First Amendment." That should be the focus, because now they're, like I said, they're going to try to extradite him. Here's another little piece of information you might not hear in the dead stream, especially in America. This one says the son of Julian Assange's judge, the judge he's facing in the UK that's attempting to decide if he's going to be extradited to the US, is linked to an anti-data leak company created by the UK intelligence establishment. Let's see if we can understand this. The son of Julian Assange's senior judge is linked to an anti-data leak company created by the UK intelligence establishment and staffed by officials recruited from US intelligence agencies behind that country's prosecution of the WikiLeaks founder. So the son of Lady Emma Arbuthnot, the Westminster chief magistrate overseeing the extradition proceedings of Julian Assange, is the vice president and cybersecurity advisor of a firm heavily invested in a company founded by GCHQ and MI5, which is the British intelligence agencies, which seeks to stop data leaks, it can be revealed. So her son is vice president, cybersecurity advisor of a firm that is heavily invested with the spy agencies of the British government, which are the very same people that were exposed by Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. So I'm sure she's very impartial. Alexander Arbuthnot, employer, the private equity firm Vitruvian Partners, has a multi-million-pound investment in Darktrace, a cybersecurity company, which is also staffed by officials recruited directly from the US NSA and the CIA. Wow. These intelligence agencies are behind the U.S. government's prosecution of Julian Assange for publishing secret documents. Darktrace also has had access to two former UK prime ministers and former U.S. President Barack Obama. The revelations raise further concerns about potential conflicts of interest and appearances of bias concerning Lady Arbuthnot and the ties of her family members to the U.S. and UK military intelligence establishments. Her husband is Lord James Arbuthnot, a former UK defense minister who has extensive links to the UK military community. As far as known, she has failed to disclose any potential conflicts of interest in her role overseeing Assange's case. However, UK legal guidance states that, quote, any conflict of interest in a litigious situation must be declared. Her son joined Vitruvian Partners as vice president in December 2018 and is likely to be managing the firm's Darktrace account. So, interestingly enough, but thankfully we did see this just in the past couple of days. Breaking, Lady Arbuthnot off the Julian Assange case, says WikiLeaks lawyer Jennifer Robinson. You can see just a little clip of this right here.
Is there any hope of getting Judge Emma Arbuthnot recused for conflicts of interest, specifically her husband being named in the WikiLeaks files numerous times?
Yes, there was some controversy about her sitting in the case. She will not be sitting in the case going forward.
You know who?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
So, there you go. She's not going to be on the case anymore. Just as simple as that. You can find out more at consortiumnews.com if you want to. But those are just the latest news. I mean, the obvious conflict of interest in the judge seeing the case, her son and husband tied to the intelligence community and to the U.S. and U.K. governments and intelligence agencies. Sweden deciding to drop the charges against Assange because now they got him in custody. And I think that more than likely what we go back here where Assange says that the original rape charges were being drummed up as a plot to discredit him and secure his eventual transfer to the U.S. to face trial. Sounds pretty, common sense that that's what's going on here. Now that they have Assange in custody in the UK, it's only a matter of time, it would seem, especially with conflicts of interest like this, before they're able to get him over to the US and face consequences, which hopefully does not mean his death or the rest of his life in prison. I guess we will wait to see, and just keep up with the hashtags for Julian Assange. If you just go out there and search, you of course follow WikiLeaks, you follow just hashtag Julian Assange, you'll find more and more information on the latest with him. So check it out. And that's where we're going to leave it, guys. I want to remind you guys we are running our Fund the Future of the Conscious Resistance Network crowdfunding campaign for 5 more days. If you want to invest in the campaign, this is investing in this website, in this channel, in this network. I'm not just another YouTuber. I'm out here trying to do actual deep dives and investigations, producing documentaries and books, etc., that can help you free yourself and free your family. So please consider investing whatever you can into our little pot here. And until next time, my friends, follow, like, subscribe, share, comment below. And you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.